team and Elon Musk on things Social Security and the government inefficiency, fraud, waste, and abuse. But they've been kind of softball interviews. They did a kind of town hall in Wisconsin last night. And wow, that was interesting. Some of the statements they made about Social Security. I'm going to do another video kind of breaking down that. But we'll talk about if Elon Musk and the DOGE team, any of them want to come on my show, and I'm going to ask them some questions. I'm going to go ahead and ask them questions today, and let's see if they answer any of the questions. These are the questions people want them to answer. There's a lot of people out there that have 100% faith in Elon Musk and the DOGE team that they're doing everything perfectly and everything is going to be awesome. Then this is not a video for you. Then you probably don't care. You're just going to trust them 100% with your future Social Security checks. And if that's you, then then be that as it may. But a lot of people, millions and millions and millions of people, don't really have 100% faith in anybody. And considering some of the policies that the DOGE team have come out where they're talking about they were going to shut down the agency and then they changed and say, okay, we're not going to shut down the agency. Everybody pretty much has to come in. If you're not filing online, you have to come into a local Social Security office. And then they changed it and said, okay, well, you don't have to come into a local Social Security office. So I'm going to ask some of the questions, the tough questions that they really, really should answer, and what is the future of your Social Security check. And hopefully they will answer some of these questions, but we shall see. And this is also a live Q&A. So I'm going to talk about this it'll probably take about 10 or 15 minutes. And then looks like I've already got a bunch of questions about all things retirement, disability, survivor benefits, Medicare, all the rest of it. So I'll get to as many of those as I possibly can once we get through some of these questions. All right. And again, Elon Musk, people ask me all the time, have you reached out to the DOGE team? Have you reached out to Elon Musk? Have you reached out to the president? Yes, 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 and yes. Continuously, but nobody's, I guess, interested in kind of addressing. They don't want the inside scoop, I think. All right, so the number one question I would ask is, why are you focusing on the Social Security Administration so much when the Department of Defense has failed to pass audits for the past several years? And so this was. Let me show the actual quote during the Brett Baer. The Brett Baer, that was kind of a love fest in terms. I mean, Mike Wallace and Walter Cronkite. Walter Cronkite wasn't really an investigative journalist. He didn't ask the tough questions. Mike Wallace was usually the tough question type of guy. Brett Baer is not Michael Wallace. So the government can't pass an audit. The federal government cannot pass an audit. And one of the DOGE team guys says it's impossible. In fact, in order to pass an audit, you need the information necessary to pass an audit. You need to have the payment codes. You need to have the payment explanation. And you need to have a person to contact to understand why that payment was made. None of the things were mandatory and just a few weeks ago. In fact, maybe last week. And the final answer for Social Security, I'm not talking about all the other agencies, definitely not the Department of Defense, but for Social Security Administration, I typed Elon Musk in Wisconsin last night says, hey, if you disagree with me, ask my AI, my artificial intelligence, Grok. So that's what I did. And it gave the answer I knew it would come up with. And the final answer, the Social Security Administration has passed its financial audits in the last recent years, receiving unmodified opinions for at least 31 consecutive years through fiscal year 2024, including the last few years, 22, 23, and 24. So that means they have passed their audits in the last 31 years. These audits confirm the accuracy of its financial statements. Those separate reports note ongoing challenges with improper payments. Yes, improper payments are always going to be an issue with Social Security because people don't report their work. They're working and, Social Security doesn't get that information until you file your taxes, or people work under the table, or whatever the case may be. So, there is fraud, waste, and abuse of Social Security, but it's not a kind of an internal, thing you can push a button and end billions of dollars of fraud, waste, and abuse. It's an ongoing thing, one-on-one. You say, hey, I heard you're receiving disability and you're working. Hey, I heard you're receiving early retirement benefits and you're working. Hey, I heard you're receiving SSI, supplemental security income, the welfare-based benefit, and you just won some money at the casino. Then that's the type of thing. So it's not anything that someone come in and go in there and say, hey, look, we've just found $10 billion worth of fraud. It doesn't happen at Social Security. Where it does happen is with the Department of Defense. So I asked Grok, no, the Department of Defense has not passed its audits in the last few years. The DOD has undergone annual financial statements since 2018 and required by the CFO Act of 1990, but has consistently failed to achieve a clean audit opinion. Although, as an old Marine Corps sergeant, I like to add in there, despite some progress at the DOD, such as certain components receiving clean opinions, e.g., the Marine Corps in fiscal year 2023. But the rest of the department, a department of, the Navy, as we used to say in the Marine Corps is a department of the Navy, the men's department. But anyway, Department of Army, Department of Air Force, and I guess Space Force or whatever has not met the standards for a clean audit. So yes, why focus on the Social Security Administration rather than where the actual fraud, waste, and abuse is actually happening? That's good. That's a good question we need to ask. All right, another question we should ask the DOGE team and Elon Musk. I'm tired of hearing about these Social Security numbers that the Social Security Administration has known about, but there's no money coming out of that database, zero money. So I would ask Elon Musk, okay, you have found these 12 million or so, 20 million, the numbers have gone up and down, Social Security numbers that were not closed out, that did not have the date of death on there. Okay, how much money was paid to people over 112 years old? How much actual money have you found? I mean, they published the list on X recently, and they said, we found this and we found this and this many, but none of that says how much was actually paid to the people over 112 years old. And this was supposedly the greatest fraud in U.S. history about these people and billions of dollars. But how much was actually paid? Do you notice they have not said anything about how much money has been going out to these people? Why? Because zero has been going out to those people. The database, regular viewers on my channel know, the database they are looking at is the Numident, the Social Security number. Zero money comes out of that database. Since 1935, zero money has come out of that database. People are paid on Social Security on the MBR, the Master Beneficiary Record. I have a Numident, my Social Security number, and it says where I was born, my parents' name, my mother's maiden name. Everybody has that. But I do not have an MBR, a Master Beneficiary Record, because I am not in pay. Your children have a Numident, are in this database, but they are not being paid, so they do not have an MBR set up. So yeah, it's a distraction. It is a distraction. So zero has been paid out of that. I already know the answer before I ask, but we need to ask them, okay, how much have you actually found? Okay. Now, next question. What actual fraud have you found at Social Security? So if you've been focusing all of this time on these 112-year-old people that are not 200, 300-year-old people that are not receiving any money whatsoever, okay, why are you distracting us with that? What actual fraud have you found at Social Security? What actual fraud have you found? For example, how much money did you find going to people in this country illegally? You hear that all the time. People, come into this country illegally and they get Social Security numbers and they get Social Security retirement benefits and disability benefits and survivor benefits and all this kind of stuff. How much have you found? Look on the DOGE website right now. Go to the DOGE website and look at Social Security Administration and look to see how much they found. If they would have found billions of dollars going to illegals, would they have put it on their DOGE website? Of course, that'd be the very first thing. That would be number one news in the country. DOGE just found billions of dollars going to undocumented immigrants in this country. Billions of dollars have been found. Crickets. None, right? Because in order to get Social Security benefits, I know this, I've taken hundreds of thousands of retirement claims, disability claims. You have to prove your status. You have to prove that either you're born in the United States or that you have a green card. And then the Social Security Administration goes through a SAVE program, which it talks to immigration, confirms that the green card, you're in the country legally and all this stuff. So yeah, that would be another question I would ask them. But please, come on, Elon, DOGE team, join me. Why did you cut, next question, why did you cut thousands of employees from the Social Security when demand was so high? Baby boomers, 1946 to 1964, 76 million Americans are born. 11,000 people are turning 65 every day. This is the highest demand for people that need help with Social Security. This is why I'm doing this channel. This is why this channel is kind of blowing up, is because people have got no, the old, Richard Gere and Offers of a Gentleman, they got no place else to go. Because you can't call Social Security, there's a 3-hour wait. And this has been going on for a long time. I'm not blaming Elon Musk or President Trump. It's Trump's fault. He was president for 4 years. It's Biden's fault. It's Obama's fault. It's Clinton's fault. It's the Bush's fault. Every politician for the last 40 or 50 years have failed to provide the promise that Social Security said they promised you, is that when you retire, you're going to have your retirement benefits. If you become disabled, you're going to have your disability benefits. If you pass away, your survivor will have benefits. And another part of that promise is when you need that money, someone will be there to help you. So we will pick up the phone and we will be able to help you file for those benefits to make sure you get the right check at the right time. That promise has been broken. That's been a long time coming, but now it's 10 times worse. Social Security is a 50-year low in terms of staffing. And now Elon and team have just decided to fire, or not fire, but technically fire, either get out or will, voluntold to leave the premises, as we used to say in the Marine Corps. So why in this critical, I can see efficiency. Okay. You make the system more efficient. And then if you don't need the employees, then you let them go. You've done everything all backwards. Anyway, Social Security Administration, 1% administrative overhead. Ain't that pretty darn good? Social Security gives out what, $1.2 trillion in Social Security benefits, retirement benefits, disability, survivor benefits, spouse benefits. Under 1% administrative overhead. All of the employees, all of the buildings, all of the paper. Well, Social Security offices throughout the country are having problems getting paper because all their credit cards have been pretty much canceled out. So the people that are in those offices that need to buy office supplies can't buy them because, anyway. But 1%, that's pretty good. Elon, what is the administrative overhead for Tesla, SpaceX? Is it less than 1%? Is it better than Social Security or worse? I could tell you what it is. You said during this interview, one of his guys said 40% of all calls coming into Social Security are related to direct deposit fraud. Here is, let me bring up the quote here. And I'll give you an example, is that Social Security, one of the first things we learned is that they get phone calls every day of people trying to change direct deposit information. Okay, yes. So when you want to change your bank account, you can call Social Security. Yes. We learned 40% of the phone calls that they get are from fraudsters. Okay, this guy, Aram Mogadissi, computer engineer guy. I think if he's computer engineer guy, I think he's pretty good at math. So hopefully he understands the percentage. He doesn't do the whole anchor man thing where, 40% of the time it works 100% of the time. I think he understands percentages. So I'll give him a break on this. I think he just misspoke. But Elon Musk in Wisconsin last night repeated this and completely was inaccurate. He said 40% of all calls coming into Social Security were credit card or direct deposit fraud. And then he joked around and says, and the other 40% are people wondering where their checks were. Ha, 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 ha. No, this is not what the Inspector General said. And I'm sure Aram probably, if he's honest about it, he will say, okay, I spoke incorrectly. Social Security receives about 6 million calls every single month. And they receive some calls for direct deposit. Of direct deposit fraud, of people that are trying to commit fraud and change the direct deposit of someone that they're not supposed to, 40% of those people, those fraudsters, how do they do it? They call up Social Security and provide that information and try to change it. So of that very, very small number, it's about 22,000 in the last few years, only 22,000 direct deposit fraud. You can read the IG report. I'll put it in the description. But no, it's not 40% of all calls coming in there are fraudulent. So this is why are they lobbying these incorrect attacks at Social Security? What is the purpose? What is the purpose? Next question, Elon, Doge team. Did you find that the trust fund was stolen or missing? So people have been talking about this for decades, since pretty much the big thing is the 1980s, where they say the Social Security of the $2.7 trillion is just fake IOUs. It's monopoly money. It was stolen by politicians. It was given to illegals in Ukraine. So Elon Musk and team, you have been in Social Security. You've got your private equity people in the Social Security kitty. Have you found that the trust fund has been stolen, or it's missing? I think if they did, then that would be number one news in every newspaper in the country. Doge went in there and they found the coffers were empty, but they didn't. I mean, why would a private equity person go? That was the guy that was in Wisconsin town hall last night. You might have seen in the news. He's a private equity guy. Why would a private equity guy be interested in Social Security so much? Because he knows that the money is actually there, right? He knows the money is actually there and they want it. So is the trust fund being paid back every month with interest? Elon, have you found that? Yes. Right now, this much comes in FICA, and that much goes out for people receiving retirement benefits, survivor benefits, spouse benefits, disability benefits. There's a gap there. What's filling the gap? The trust fund. The trust fund is in Treasury bills, and we get that back. The Social Security Administration pulls that back every single month to pay out to people. So if you're receiving Social Security right now, guess where the trust fund is? It's in your Social Security check. Probably about 8 or 9% this year is from the trust fund. And that includes interest from the trust fund. So Elon Musk, has it been stolen? The answer is no. I can tell you right now, I'll give you the answers for you, if you're being honest about it. Is it being paid back every month? Yes. Does it include interest? Yes. So here's the key. How is what you're doing delay the depletion of the Social Security Trust Fund? So right now, regular viewers to my channel know that the Social Security Trust Fund, because it was saved up by the baby boomers, and the baby boomers, 11,000, are turning 65 every day, and they start pulling money out of that savings. And so obviously, 2.6 trillion, it's not unlimited. Every year, another 100 billion or so comes out of that, and it's going to increase. So in 2034, everybody's going to get a cut across the board. Doesn't matter who you are, 21, 22%. Why? Because again, this much comes in, that much goes out. What covers the gap right now? The trust fund. Trust fund slowly diminishes, and then Social Security can only pay out what it receives in. It doesn't have a slush fund in there to fill the gap. So in 2033, 2034, everybody's going to get a cut across the board. So what are you doing right now other than distracting people with Social Security numbers of 150 years old or whatever the case may be? What are you doing right now to actually make sure those cuts aren't happening? And wouldn't the number one solution that actuaries and accountants and the Social Security trustees report, isn't the number one solution, Elon Musk, is for you to pay Social Security like the rest of us, Joe Schmoes? We pay Social Security FICA tax on every dollar we make, 365 days of the year. Elon Musk, maybe for a couple of seconds, January 1st, and then doesn't pay Social Security tax anymore. Anything over $176,100 is exempt from Social Security. So wouldn't you paying like the rest of us, and you and your buddies on Doge and others that make over $176,000, wouldn't that be the best solution? Another thing, one of your members of your team said there's no identifying codes, that Social Security doesn't know what they're doing and they don't identify it, so you can't have an audit and all this kind of stuff. You said there are no identifying codes on information going out. What about the big codes? That's an inside thingy. Big codes, well, people that receive Social Security for a few years, anytime you got a letter from Social Security, it had your Social Security number and then it had a code at the end. That's called a big code. It was A or B or C1 or W. That tells you exactly why you're getting those benefits. So Um, do you want another government agency to second guess benefits? Isn't that inefficient? So one of the guys in the DOGE team says, well, we want the Department of Treasury to second guess everybody. So when you go into the Social Security Administration and file for survivor benefits, and then they do all of that, and they check your marriage certificate and your divorce decree and death certificate and all that kind of stuff, and they do the calculation, and then they tell the Department of Treasury to pay, and with the big code W, D, D1, whatever the case may be, and then these guys want the Department of Treasury to second guess rather than to just send out the check because it's already been confirmed. Do they want the Department of Treasury to go back in there and check the death certificate or the marriage certificate and all this kind of stuff? Isn't that completely inefficient to do the same exact thing twice? Another question. Do you understand that changing policy and then changing it back on a daily, weekly basis stresses people out that are elderly, disabled, and depend on those checks? I know you and the Commerce Secretary, mother-in-law doesn't care if they get a check this month, but millions of people do care if they get a check this month. And to tell them that you're going to shut down the agency, to tell them, to freak them out and, tell them they have to go in the Social Security Administration, they don't have to go to the Social Security Administration, just don't you understand that stresses out a lot of people? What you say matters. You said Social Security recipients will receive more money because of what a DOGE is doing. How? How exactly is that? Social Security benefits are based on people's high 35 years of earnings, what they actually paid into Social Security into the Social Security FICA taxes. And then there's a calculation that's done. There's an average index monthly earnings, which comes out with your PIA, your primary insurance amount, based on BIN points, 90%, 32%, 15%. So what method are you going to use to increase Social Security benefits? We would like to know exactly. Is this coming out of your own pocket? Well, this takes an act of Congress. So finally, about the computer system, hasn't the Social Security Administration requested to Congress to provide them resources to upgrade the computer systems for decades? And they almost got kind of a Peanuts type thing where the old football where the Congress a few years ago said, okay, we're finally going to give you money to upgrade your system from the 1970s COBOL system. And they gave it to them, and then the new Congress came back and ripped the ball out from under them. And they said, oh, psych, no, we're not going to update your system because we don't want to update your system. We don't want to update those people that are on this database over 112 years old because we love using that as a stick to beat you with. The reason, these systems and all this stuff hasn't been upgraded is because politicians want Social Security to fail so they can get private equity people like the people that were on stage last night with Elon Musk. They've been chomping at the bit. They've been drooling over the trillions of dollars in the trust fund. They want that money big time. So aren't the same politicians that support you now the same ones who refuse those requests to update the system? So isn't it ironic that they break the system and then they come in there and say, oh, well, we're going to fix it. As part of that fix, we're going to give it over to our buddies on Wall Street. So, all right. So those are the questions, Elon Musk and DOGE team or whoever else from the White House, the Office of Management and Budget, the president, whoever. Those are the questions people ask me all the time. Why don't you ask questions to these people? Okay. I've reached out to these people and crickets. So those are the questions I would ask. If you're interested, come on and let's do it. I'll ask them again. Okay, let's get into your questions on all things Social Security. And since Social Security, there's, not many people working there now, and it's hard to get in. So let's see if we can help you get what you earned. All right, David. Hey, what's up, David? I'm 64 on Social Security disability. I need to take my union pension at 65, something retirement age. My full retirement age is 67. Will taking my pension mess up my disability? Nope, not at all. You are 100% good. So a union pension, Social Security from 1935, they've always said Social Security is like a three-legged stool. You've got your pension, you got your savings, and you got Social Security. So yeah, union pension doesn't affect your Social Security disability at all. But David, few things. You're reaching 65 here pretty soon. And at 65, you've got options. one of those options, because 65 is the Medicare age, in most states, you probably could only get a Medicare Advantage when you started getting your Medicare in most states. But now that you're going to be 65, you can switch to a Medicare supplement plan if you want. This might be your only opportunity. So check out a Medicare supplement plan, the Plan N and Plan G. It's not for everybody. There's a monthly premium, but there's no prior authorizations and there are no networks. I always recommend a Medicare supplement if it's within your budget. So you can reach out to Chapter and they can see if one's available in your area. Nobody can deny you, no health underwriting, no health questions or anything like that. So, and then remember, when you turn your full retirement age, then you're no longer on disability anymore. Your benefits switch from disability benefits to regular retirement benefits. So there's no more CDRs. There's no more, limitations on work. You're full retirement age, regular retirement benefits, and nothing happens at all. Dr. Weir, were you looking to buy a Tesla? I actually have a Tesla, but anyway, I love it. So So anyway, well, it's a great car. So I had the hard, so it is what it is. I'm a car guy. I love cars. So had the hardest time changing my direct deposit info in person, and I'm the recipient. Yeah. I think that was a good change, the direct deposit. They shouldn't lie about it and said 40% of, calls coming into Social Security are about direct deposit fraud. No, you don't have to lie about something like that. Is there fraud that exists on direct deposit fraud? Of course there is. There's kids trying to change their direct deposit of their parents or ex-wife or ex-boyfriend or whatever the case may be. But the solution, go online. Okay. Yeah. You get them to go online to act, two pin verification and all that. I could agree with that. But to also make them go down to the office. All right. I could see that. But there has to be some type of exceptions. A 90-year-old person wanting to change the direct deposit, going down to the office, live 100 miles. There has to be some type of exception to that. Over the video. A lot of these. A lot of the offices, my office that I ran had a video thing. So maybe you could do a video teleconference with the person that can't come in and change their direct deposit if they're not able to do it online. But if they can't do it online, they might have a difficulty doing the teleconference type of thing. So that's the thing when when they're trying to give this over to Wall Street and privatize Social Security. Some people agree with that. I disagree with that, but then it's privatized, and private companies deal with people they make money off. Social Security is not really in that, so they have to help everybody. That's one of the issues. Let's see, Sandra. I worked in the private sector. I am excluded from a one-time retroactive lump sum, even though I contributed Social Security for 30 plus years before retiring. One-time lux. Yeah, I'm not sure what you're talking about. The lump sum excluded from the one-time retroactive lump sum. Yeah, I don't. You can get retroactive benefits back pay if you file for benefits past your full retirement age. You can get up to 6 months of retroactive benefits. So nobody's excluded for that. So I'm not sure. Let's see. Raise the cap. Yep, that's the solution right there. Absolutely. But there's a lot of solutions in my YouTube description. You can see the Social Security actuarial report. The actuary, he has a spreadsheet there with all the solutions that could make sure your benefits aren't cut in the future. And if you don't like raising the cap, there's dozens of others, but that one seems to be the best. You don't like what he's saying, so is it not best to leave? Why? Oh, okay. So someone, doesn't like what I'm saying. So anyway, yes. You can always change the channel. Remember, the gentleman was one of them, so you can bet he's going to defend them and probably only did one tiny aspect of the Social Security. It does not make him an expert in the whole thing. Yep, I agree. It doesn't make me an expert in the whole thing, but I do know, retirement disability benefits, the budget, and stuff like that. So let's see. People, open your eyes. It's not government. It's not Dem or Republican. It's the oligarchy. They want us against each other. They want us distracted. They want us confused. Stay alert. Act. Yeah, yes, that's exactly it. As I did a video a few days ago, that I said Elon Musk and DOGE is doing a phenomenal job clearing the decks. That is, of all the stupid lies and conspiracies and, internet myths that have gone around about the, illegals getting money and the trust fund being stolen and all that kind of stuff. If they had found that, they would have publicized that. They haven't, which means it doesn't exist. So they've done us a great job, a great service, and finally getting rid of that garbage so we can finally be serious about saving Social Security. But the last bastion of a scoundrel is to divide us and to make us attack each other. Everybody on here doesn't want their Social Security check to be cut in the future. I'm sure there's one or two people in here that don't care. And those are the people that it's like, well, I don't care if me and my relatives get their Social Security checks cut, as long as the other side, my political enemies, do get theirs cut. As long as they get theirs cut, then I'm more happy getting and those people are too far gone. We can't reach those people. Carlene, yeah, now you have to verify yourself for IRS. Been paying taxes for 50 some years and verified with driver's license along with PIN. So why all of a sudden Trump and DOGE? Yeah, okay. So this is also, I should have talked about this in the first part. Thank you. I lost her name. But so starting in April, it was April 1st, and now they've changed it to April 14th. So please reach out to everybody that is receiving Social Security benefits. A lot of people think that they have to go down to Social Security to get their benefits to continue. That is not correct. They changed the policy. Here's the current policy right now after a couple of changes, and it will change again, I guarantee it. It should change again. The current policy is if you're currently receiving Social Security benefits, you're good. You don't have to do anything. If you're filing for a new claim for retirement benefits, and retirement benefits include retirement benefits on your own record, spouse benefits, divorced spouse benefits, and surviving spouse benefits. If you are filing a new claim for one of those, then if you can't do it 100% online, then you have to go down to your local Social Security office to prove your ID. If you're filing for Medicare, no. If you're filing for disability, no. If you're filing for SSI, the welfare-based program, no. Okay. I think it will change again in a few days when they realize that, a 90-year-old person filing for survivor benefits shouldn't really have to come down to Social Security if they can't make it. So, yeah. Hi, Ed. On SSI, I received an auto insurance settlement. I was told I had to use all the settlement towards the car. Is that correct? I'm buying a car, and that is approximately $1,500 less than the settlement. Okay, yeah. If you're on SSI, Supplemental Security Income, that's low income, low resources. Anytime you get money in the house, you should really notify Social Security and tell them, hey, I just got a settlement, and, the auto insurance, I had a wreck. Somebody ran into me, and I got the money, but that money is for a new car. So yes, it is going to come into the house. It is going to go on my bank account. When you file for SSI, remember when you filed, you signed this little thing. It's usually a verbal attestation, but you said you will notify Social Security if you get any money. And you also gave Social Security authorization to check your financial system out, check the financial system out there. And what will happen is when that money goes in your bank account, there'll be it's called a limited issue tickle. They call it an alert that, hey, Scarlett just got some money in her account. You need to contact her and find out where this money came from. So I would be preemptive and just call Social Security and say, that way your check doesn't stop or anything like that. I would call Social Security and say, hey, I got money coming in, and but what, 1,500? So yeah, if it immediately goes out, it's called kind of a spin down in SSI. Then you should be good. But just to make sure, I would definitely reach out to Social Security and tell them, hey, the money's going to be coming in there, and that way, nothing gets all messed up and you don't miss a check. So. Why did we receive a 1099 for our minor daughter, and what are we supposed to do with it? Yep, your minor daughter is receiving Social Security benefits in some form, and Social Security is part of the IRS. They have to notify, so you can put that in part of your taxes. So when you do your taxes, make sure you give that to your tax person. So Republicans, not Dems, have been trying to break SSI. SSI is the welfare-based program. You mean SSA, so that's fine. Those love all their congressional perks. We pay into the slush fund for all working. I try to be neutral. I attack everybody. When Joe Biden signed the Social Security Fairness Act, I gave him a rash on that one because it's nothing fair about it, and it doesn't expand Social Security benefits. So yes, there are people in certain political parties that have been trying to privatize Social Security forever. But there's other politicians on the other side that say they are trying to protect Social Security, but they're doing a shit job of it, a terrible job of it. So you got one that, is honest about it. They're saying, yeah, we want to privatize it pretty much. And the other group is too incompetent to, fix it. And so, yeah, I'm not giving either side a pass. When you were running the Social Security, I only ran one office, third business in the country, but one. Did you know dead people were getting checks? I think Trump and his administration would like to put Social Security into private market accounts. All right. So here's how they trick you, Allison, and we keep falling for it. We're not very smart sometimes. Yeah. We fall for politicians' trick. We believe politicians. Okay. Were these 112-year-old people receiving 150-year-old, 200 people receiving checks? No. Has Elon Musk and DOGE found that these people were receiving money? No. Okay. Here's how they trick you. They say 200-year-old people are in Social Security. And then in the next sentence, they kind of, semicolon or regular, comma or something. They kind of continue or, dangling participle or whatever run-on sentence. They use kind of grammatical tricks. And then they say Social Security overpays, sends out, millions of dollars of checks to deceased people. And then you put this statement together with that statement and you come up with watermelon sugar. And it's like, what? Okay, so these people are not receiving benefits, but does Social Security pay deceased people? Yes, every single day. How is that? Anybody that's had anybody passed away knows. They can answer that question. I'm going to figure out how to do a live one day where I bring people on and, but anyway, if you pass away today and your benefits are, your Social Security check comes tomorrow, the whole process doesn't happen that quickly. Right. So you pass away and you go to the coroners or the funeral home. And then when they produce the death certificate, which usually takes a few days or sometimes longer, then that death certificate goes to the state agency. And then the state agency has a partnership with Social Security. That information goes to Social Security Administration. Social Security Administration immediately sends that to the Department of Treasury. The Department of Treasury goes into that bank account and rips out that money a week or 2 weeks later. So does Social Security pay deceased people? Yes, every single day. But, just because of timing, they get that money back. Anybody that's had anybody pass away knows that they rip out that money pretty quickly. So we have to keep, we keep falling. We keep falling for their tricks. And that's a distraction. So everybody's sitting out there waiting for them to find the trust fund that, is missing somewhere under, looking at, well, politicians say, yeah, the money was stolen. I'm looking for it. Okay, great. Well, I guess that's all good. And then next year you call them up and say, did you find it? No, I'm still looking for it. And they're kicking the can down the road until the trust fund runs out. And then it's too late. So we have to be smarter than them. And yeah. I am a survivor benefit recipient and my spouse worked in military. Before, can I avail the DOGE plans? Not sure what the DOGE plans. Yeah, if you're receiving survivor benefits and you're also receiving like a VA survivor type thing, you can do both. Yep. My grandmother, husband served in World War I, had a big old hole in his shoulder. And yep, she was receiving retirement benefits, Social Security and VA. So when he passed away. How long does it take the system to process an uncomplicated Part B application made online? I applied for an Advantage plan 2 weeks ago after applying for Part B, but it is not going through. Yeah, under normal circumstances, not very longish, but now, the person that was, assigned that workload may no longer be with the agency, might have been moved out. So, and now they have to give that workload to somebody else. And this is one of the problems with that is of cutting thousands of people, is stuff like this, where you just might be without health insurance for a month or 2 months or 3 months because, the nobody's there to process your Part B application. So you had the 40B and the 564 that you sent in because you didn't sign up for Part B when you were 65 years old, sounds like, or you're just filing for Part B now. You can call them up, call up your politician. If politicians don't want to support Social Security, then hold their feet to the fire. Or you can also reach out to Chapter. They have access to the Medicare website, so they can look on the Medicare website and see. But you can go onto Medicare.gov and see if that if they haven't processed the application, then you won't be able to see anything in there. So, but you can go into Social Security and see. Or probably just the best thing is to call. Or unfortunately, maybe you'd have to go down to the local office if you need to have that health insurance. So. Candy, do you think we are going to get Social Security while we have a state of emergency in Michigan? Almost everything closed, power outages everywhere. Wow. Yeah. Social Security hasn't missed a check in 90 years. Hopefully, the computer system is still up here. But yeah, the computer systems are national, so it won't affect Michigan. Sometimes, when the post office or something, if you're getting an old mailed check, then it might be an issue because, whatever's happening. But yeah, you should be good there. Yeah. Are we going to get a stimulus check? And if so, how much? Yeah, there's nothing on the horizon right now. There's the DOGE dividend thing that Elon Musk said, if I find a whole bunch of money, I'll give you 20% of it. But yeah, I wouldn't. That's just an idea. I agree that web calculation should have been reworked rather than totally repealed. Tom, thank you. But non-covered workers who are a spouse of a higher paid covered worker should never have been subjected to GPO. Okay, yeah. But Tom, okay, if both people are receiving Social Security benefits, and we're not talking WEP or GPO, non-covered pension type people, just the other 97% of people, the people that are eligible for benefits on their spouse's record, their benefit amount offsets that. So they essentially get a pension offset. Every 97% get a pension offset. Why shouldn't the other 3%? So I'm a survivor benefit recipient and my spouse worked in the military before I can okay, yeah, not sure. Still not talked about veil plans. Should I start applying for my Social Security as of now if I turn 62 in November, since it's taking so long to contact them? No, because you can't, the system won't accept your application essentially past 3 months. So you can only do it 3 months in advance. So if everything is going all right in November, remember, you have to be 62 the entire month. So if you turn 62 on the 2nd, then you're good for November. But if not, then you'll start your benefits in December and you'll get your first check in January. It always comes a month late. And that's why does it always come a month late? Because inevitably we all shuffle off our mortal coil and we pass away. And that's another way that Social Security gets in there to make sure, you have to be living the entire month to be entitled to that check. So if you pass away on the 31st, then you don't get the money for that month because you weren't alive during the entire month. So you're on scare tactics. Okay. Reporting reality. Yeah. Reality is scary. Yes. I have to agree with you that the reality right now is Social Security, the future cuts, what's happening, and they're going to close the agency. They're not going to close the agency. You have to do this. The next day you have to do this other thing. I agree with you 100%. Yes. It's scary out there for a lot of people. They don't know what's going on. Yeah. I believe that many Republicans that speak out and most against are themselves. Okay, sounds like a scene from. All right, you're doing this reply. Okay, yeah, was it from American Beauty or something? Yeah, I'm 62 and my ex-wife is 59. If I start drawing on my Social Security at 63, when could I swap to draw on hers? And at what level would I pull from hers? Is it based on my age on a filing or her age then? Okay. So you don't swap. So if you start receiving your benefits on your record, and then when she turns 62, as soon as she files for benefits on her record, then you can file for benefits as a spouse on her record. So, and it's completely based on your age. So you will get X percent of her full benefit amount, not her reduced amount, but her full benefit amount, which is called her PIA, primary insurance amount. So you'll get up to 50% of that. If she waits until her full retirement age, or excuse me, if you wait until your full retirement age, well, she would have to wait, years. But if you start those benefits at your full retirement age, you get 50%. So, Rochelle, what's up, Rochelle? I heard the people getting one-time payment are those who were getting a private pension along with their Social Security and were having their Social Security reduced. This came as a result of some changes to older policies. Yes, Rochelle. Oh, you got a big family there. Awesome. Like a wedding or something. Yeah, that's called it's a non-covered pension. The Social Security Fairness Act that got rid of the WEP, the windfall elimination provision, the government pension offset. Those are for people that the 3% of the populace, workers that did not pay into Social Security in their main jobs in terms of firefighters, teachers, police officers. So now that WEP and the GPO have gone out, and now these people receive a higher percentage of what they pay into Social Security than the rest of the 97%. So, all right. Okay, I already answered that one. Lynette, what's up, Lynette? I'm turning 65 in November. I'm currently on SSDI Advantage insurance. Do I still need to sign up for regular Medicare this year or wait till I'm 67? No, you don't need to sign up for Medicare. You're already on Medicare. Since you have an Advantage plan, Medicare Advantage plan, that means you do have Medicare Part A and Part B. But as I told the other person, now that you're turning 65, you have a free pass to get a Medicare supplement plan if you want one, a Medicare supplement plan N or a G. And those are the ones I recommend, so you don't have to deal with prior authorizations and networks and stuff, but they do come at a monthly cost. So in your state, all you could get was probably a Medicare Advantage. So I would reach out to anybody, Medicare insurance agent or someone, to reach out to Chapter and say, hey, I'm turning 65 here. Tell me about Medicare supplements. Is it good for me? Do I have a budget for that? And, why should I get it? So let's see here. Is it true Social Security recipients will be receiving an increase in April? No. Well, I guess it's not across the board. There's two ways you can get an increase in benefits. Is obviously COLA, which that you get that in January, but there's also if you work and paid into Social Security, and like last year in 2024, and that's one of your high 35 years. Once the Social Security gets your earnings for the previous year, and if that's one of your high 35 years, then yeah, you could get an increase in April. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer, May, June, July, or August, but they will backdate it. So if they don't do the recalculation until September, let's say. So in September, they say, oh, last year in 2024, you made a whole bunch more money. That's one of your high 35 years, and we owe you an extra $10 a month going forward. So we'll give you $10 a month going forward. And they said, and they will backdate it till January. So you'll get all of that back pay, $90 or whatever. So that's 100% automatic. You don't have to do anything except for file your taxes. If Social Security already made copies of original marriage and divorce certificates and noted that survivor benefits would be more than my Social Security whenever former spouse passes, how would I know? Uh, um, I Yeah, it might be in the system or it might not be. It's yeah, usually in a paperless system. There's another paperless system that Social Security uses called WorkTrack, but that's only a temporary repository that I just so happen to be part of the team that designed it. But if you gave her original marriage certificate and divorce decree, a year or 2 years ago, yeah, it's probably not in any easily accessible system. And if Elon Musk, y'all want to fix that, please do. But don't mess with my work track. Work track works very, very well. So anyway, you need staff to actually work that information, but yeah, the system itself works good. But even if they don't have the original documents, if you filed for something and they coded it into the system, they can use the coded, entries previously, and you might not need it. So it really depends on your particular situation. Yeah. Doctor, thank you for the information. Please advise me. Should I wait for apply for Okay, I already get that one. I don't think they will ever smash the cap. How about we start at increasing the cap to 1 million? Yeah, the previous person that was running for president, that was part of their plan, to increase the cap to over 400,000. There's sometimes there's over 250,000. But yeah, it doesn't seem like it's on the radar now, is it? And again, if Elon Musk is really serious about saving Social Security, he can be the first one that says, you know what? Let's raise the cap. I want to pay FICA Social Security like everybody else in the United States, the other 90% of people. If they have to pay Social Security on every dollar they make, I want to go ahead and pay Social Security on every dollar I make too. I think it's only fair. But I wouldn't hold your breath on that one. I would like it for it to happen in a kind of alternative universe. My direct deposit is already late. Always gets here 1 or 2 days before the first of the month. I'm 75 and I need it for my rent. Yeah, yeah. Hopefully on the first 1 or 2 days before the month. Yeah, the 31st and the weekend and stuff. Hopefully it comes in the next couple of days. But if not, then reach out to Social Security. If you don't get your check, you can reach out to Social Security, and if you're getting direct deposit, then they can do kind of an immediate payment, where they can push the payment again through the system, and you get your direct deposit usually within like 24 hours. If it's like a super dire need and you have like an eviction notice or they're going to shut off your electricity or something, then you can go down to your local office and they can actually cut you a check, an old fashioned check out of the office. So you can take it out of the bank and put it in the bank. But those checks look different than the one with the Statue of Liberty and stuff. So the banks always call up the local office and say, "Hey, is this a valid check?" Because they don't. Yeah, so they usually had to call me when I ran my office, and I'd give the person my phone number, and I said, "When the bank wants to confirm this, tell them to call me," and they would call me, and I'd say, "Yes, that is a check." And so, yeah. But yeah, you can get a check out of the office if it has to be a serious case, eviction notice or something like that. Annie, the sooner people understand that Elon Musk doesn't want Social Security to exist, the better we can fight back. Yeah, that's. I mean, he can do good if he really wants to. But if someone comes in and says it's all a fraud, it's all a scam, it's all illegal, which a Ponzi scheme is, then that's not the right mentality to start. And it's the biggest fraud in history. If that's your idea of going into an organization, that's what you're going to find, right? If you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Moonchild 55. That's right. And meanwhile, those currently receiving Social Security benefits are walking around with their nose up in the air. We'll see how they will be doing later on in the future. Yeah. So hopefully, the cuts don't happen in the future. Dr. Ed, this is extremely frustrating and scary at the same time. Yes, I agree with you. Yeah. Reach out to your politicians and say, hey, this is completely unacceptable. changing policy on a monthly basis, going in there and continuously accusing Social Security of this, that, and the other with no proof whatsoever. With the ulterior, what ulterior motives do you have when you go in there and start attacking an agency and you don't have any proof? What are you trying to do? What are you trying to accomplish? It's a terrible thing. It's a fraud. It's this. They're wasting your money. And I mean, what is the motivation? We know what the motivation is. I'm 53 and Social Security told me I need 8 credits to qualify for Social Security disability insurance, but they also said I have enough credits to get my retirement at 62. Can you explain the credit difference? Absolutely. Gil Fire 41. So there are 2 things in order to get disability. You have to be insured and currently insured. So you're insured for benefits, means you paid into the Social Security 40 quarters, had 10 years of that you paid into the system. So you're entitled to retirement benefits and, survivor benefits. Your surviving spouse can get survivor benefits and all that. But disability also has to have a currently insured status. So you had to pay into Social Security 5 out of the last 10 years. And it sounds like you missed a couple of years there. So the mentality behind this is what Social Security only does what, Congress tells them to do. And Congress says, in order to get disability, you had to kind of be working recently. So the idea, I always give this story. If you're young and you're in your 20s and you work and you make a lot of money in your 20s and you pay into Social Security, you've got your 10 years of work. You paid into Social Security for 10 years throughout your 20s. And when you get 62 years old, you're able to collect that money. Okay. But then when you turn 30 years old, you quit work and you travel around the world and you enjoy your life. And then at 55 years old, something happens, you're cliff diving, you've been in Acapulco and you break something and you go into Social Security and says, I need to file for disability benefits. Social Security defines disability as the inability to work based on a disability that lasted 12 months or longer. The inability to work. So Congress says, if you haven't been working over the last, 5 out of the last 10 years, then, disability is, it's not really an issue. So that's why. You are insured, but you're not currently insured. When you filed for benefits, the Social Security employee ran a calculator. It's called the DLI, date last insured, and they determined your disability did not start before your date last insured. And the date last insured was that 5 out of the last 10 years. So, yeah, sorry about that. So, unfortunately, I mean, you can, but you're disabled, so you can't work. But remember, there's also SSI. But it sounds as though you probably weren't qualified for SSI. SSI is the welfare-based program based on either disability or being aged, which is 65 or older. But that's low income, low resources. So probably you did not qualify for that. So, Jojan 13, illegal immigrants paid taxes into Social Security but aren't allowed to receive any. There was a surplus that presidents borrowed from it. Yeah, that is correct. It's I've seen different numbers, anywhere from $20 to $30 billion a year gets paid into the Social Security Trust Fund by people working in this country legally. A student coming over here and going to college and then doesn't go back, and they pay into Social Security, and they're never going to get those benefits unless somehow they become legal later. But yeah, they donate billions of dollars every year into Social Security Trust Fund, and so thank you for the donation. So, and no, nobody borrowed from it. Well, it's just like a bank. A bank borrows your money. So when you put your money in a bank, it just doesn't sit there in a coffee can in the backyard. They use that money and they loan it out to people for houses and stuff like that. So trust fund is given by law. It has to be put into treasury bonds, treasury securities. And yes, the government, takes that money and pays bills with it. But they've been paying it back every single month. So, all right. I will be 65 end of December. Can I apply for SSI in October? My only income is my Social Security check. For SSI, that's the welfare-based benefit. And for SSI, you can get SSI based, as I said, on disability or being aged. Social Security considered aged, 65 or older. So if you have low income, low resources, but SSI only pays out, what, $967 this year. So if your Social Security check from retirement is over $967, then you're not going to be eligible for SSI then. So, oh, Catherine, $2.99 donation support. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. My coffee for the day. You are too awesome. Thank you. All right, we are over an hour, and let's see. I just heard DOGE found fraud in the Social Security system, finding the Biden administration gave a bunch of Social Security to illegal immigrants. Yeah, that's 100% incorrect. I'm going to do another video on that, and yeah, they really think we're dumb. And then it's what's funny is these people can't tell these incorrect stories anymore, because during this Wisconsin thing, the guy, what was his name, Antonio Gracias, yeah, which would both. What's funny is both of those guys are immigrants, and they would both be on the list that they're saying, "Oh, look at this terrible list up there." They are both on that list. Well, not Antonio, but all his parents and relatives are, because they came from India and Spain, and then obviously Elon Musk came from South Africa via Canada, whatever. But they would both be on that list. So, and the Antonio, which is a private equity guy, and he's in knee deep in Social Security. He says, if you don't agree with me, check Grok, which is the AI that Elon Musk built, started, financed, or whatever the case may be. So I did. And yeah, so people can't lie anymore, or they can, but people just don't. They trust people. They trust these people 100%. All they have to do is go into the AI and say, okay, this guy said this. Is this true? And AI drops the dime on these guys. So I'm going to do another video on that, maybe today or tomorrow. So, all right, I'm over an hour. Appreciate it. And as always, please, 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 please look out for other people. They're having a hard time. Your relatives, friends, little old lady down the street are having a hard time navigating the Social Security bureaucracy. There's no people there to help. Please help those people reach out to Social Security and get the benefits they're eligible for. Bring them to this channel, ask questions for them. I love that when I see someone says, hey, I've got this lady down the street that has this question about this, that, and the other. Please, we need more of that. Y'all have an awesome day.